March 1955, a small apartment in Manhattan's Upper West Side. Two women sat on a worn sofa, sharing Chinese takeout and laughing about nothing in particular. One was Judy Garland, recently fired from MGM and attempting yet another comeback. The other was Kay Thompson, a talented performer and vocal coach who had become Judy's closest confidant. What made their friendship extraordinary wasn't the glamour or the Hollywood connections. It was that Kay was one of the few people who saw Judy as a complete human being rather than as a commodity or a crisis. For 20 years, Kay kept Judy's deepest secrets, protecting her privacy even when revealing those secrets could have made Kay famous or wealthy. Only decades after both women had died did some of those secrets finally emerge, and they changed how we understand Judy Garland's life. This isn't about scandal or gossip. This is about the friendship that kept Judy alive longer than she might have survived alone. Their friendship began in the early 1940s when Kay was working as a vocal arranger at MGM. She was nearly 10 years older than Judy, already established in her career, and possessed a sharp wit that cut through Hollywood pretension. When they first met during a recording session, Kay noticed something that others missed. Beneath Judy's manufactured cheerfulness and professional polish was a frightened young woman drowning in studio control and pharmaceutical dependency. Kay didn't see a difficult star or a troubled actress. She saw someone who desperately needed a real friend. What developed between them was unusual for Hollywood, where most relationships served transactional purposes. Kay offered Judy something rare: friendship with no agenda. She wasn't trying to manage Judy's career, wasn't seeking reflected fame, wasn't attempting to exploit the connection for personal gain. She simply liked Judy as a person and wanted to help her survive an industry designed to consume people like fuel. That genuine affection would sustain their friendship through decades of chaos. Kay witnessed firsthand the systematic abuse that MGM inflicted on Judy. She saw the pills that studio doctors prescribed to control Judy's weight and energy. She heard the psychological manipulation from executives who kept Judy dependent and insecure. She watched as the studio made decisions about Judy's life, from her marriages to her pregnancies, treating her as property rather than as a person. What made Kay different was that she didn't just observe this exploitation, she actively fought against it, offering Judy refuge and support when everyone else saw her as a problem to be managed. One story that emerged years later illustrates the depth of their bond. In 1950, after MGM fired Judy and her career seemed finished, she attempted to end her life. Kay was the person who found her and got her to the hospital. Instead of calling press agents or studio executives, Kay protected Judy's privacy, dealing with the medical crisis quietly. She then took Judy into her own home for months of recovery, providing the kind of care and compassion that Judy had rarely experienced. Kay never spoke publicly about this period, never sought credit for saving Judy's life. She simply did what real friends do. What Kay understood, perhaps better than anyone else in Judy's orbit, was the impossible position Judy occupied. The public and industry wanted her to be simultaneously vulnerable and invincible, to pour her emotional truth into performances while maintaining perfect professional behavior. Kay saw how this contradiction tore Judy apart. In private conversations that Kay later shared with trusted intimates, she described Judy as someone trapped between competing impossibilities, trying to be human while everyone around her insisted she be a product. Their friendship provided Judy with something she had been denied since childhood: unconditional acceptance. With Kay, she didn't have to perform or pretend. She could be messy, difficult, frightened, angry, all the things that humans are allowed to be, but stars are not. Kay's apartment became a sanctuary where Judy could drop the manufactured persona and simply exist without judgment. Former acquaintances of both women described Kay's home as the only place where Judy seemed genuinely relaxed. But maintaining this friendship required Kay to witness things that caused her deep pain. She watched Judy's health deteriorate from years of pharmaceutical abuse. She saw relationships collapse because Judy had never learned how to trust or be intimate in healthy ways. She observed the cycle of comebacks and collapses, knowing each one took a piece of Judy that would never return. Kay told a close friend late in her own life that loving Judy meant accepting that she couldn't save her, only accompany her through the destruction. What Kay kept secret, protecting Judy's privacy even decades after her death, were the details of Judy's most vulnerable moments. She knew about the full extent of the pharmaceutical dependency, the desperate financial situations, the relationships that hurt Judy deeply, the times when Judy's grip on stability was so tenuous that any additional pressure might have shattered her completely. Kay could have written a tell-all memoir that would have been a bestseller. Instead, she kept silent, honoring the trust Judy had placed in her. One particular secret that Kay protected involved Judy's relationship with her children. Judy loved her kids desperately, but struggled with the practical realities of parenthood. The same instabilities that plagued her career made consistent parenting nearly impossible. Kay sometimes served as a bridge between Judy and her children, providing stability and helping maintain connections when Judy's circumstances made her unavailable. She did this quietly, never seeking recognition or credit, simply trying to minimize the damage to the next generation. Their friendship also had a professional dimension that benefited both women. Kay helped Judy develop her concert style in the 1950s and 1960s, coaching her on how to connect with audiences in ways that went beyond technical perfection. Kay understood that Judy's power came from emotional authenticity, and she encouraged Judy to embrace the imperfections that made her performances so moving. Some of Judy's most acclaimed live performances were shaped by Kay's guidance, though Kay rarely received public credit. But the friendship wasn't one-sided. Judy provided Kay with something valuable too: genuine appreciation and loyalty. In an industry where success often meant moving past old friends, Judy remained devoted to Kay throughout the ups and downs. When Kay faced her own career challenges and personal struggles, Judy was there with the same unconditional support Kay had provided. Their friendship represented a rare example of mutual care in an environment that usually discouraged such authentic connection. As Judy's health declined through the 1960s, Kay became increasingly concerned but remained powerless to force changes. She encouraged Judy to seek treatment, tried to create stability, reached out to family members who might help. But the damage was too extensive, the patterns too entrenched. Kay later told intimates that watching Judy's final years felt like watching someone drown while being unable to reach them, a helplessness that haunted her. When Judy died in 1969, Kay was devastated but not surprised. She had seen the trajectory, understood that decades of abuse had created an unsustainable situation. At Judy's funeral, Kay sat quietly in the back, refusing interviews and avoiding attention. Her grief was private, not performed for public consumption. She had loved Judy as a complete person, not as a celebrity or an icon, and her mourning reflected that intimacy. In the years after Judy's death, Kay occasionally spoke to trusted friends about their relationship, but always with careful respect for Judy's privacy. She shared enough to correct false narratives and provide context for Judy's struggles, but never revealed the most intimate details. Even when biographers and journalists offered money for her story, Kay declined. The friendship had been real, and real friendships don't become commodities just because one person becomes famous. What Kay's silence revealed was perhaps more important than anything she might have said. It demonstrated that genuine love and loyalty can exist in Hollywood despite all the systemic pressures toward exploitation and betrayal. Her refusal to profit from Judy's memory stood in stark contrast to the industry that had consumed Judy for profit throughout her life. Kay's discretion was its own form of testimony about what Judy deserved but rarely received: respect, privacy, and unconditional care. The secrets Kay kept weren't scandalous revelations that would shock audiences. They were human moments of vulnerability, fear, hope, and struggle. They were the reality of living as Judy Garland when the cameras stopped and the audience went home. Kay protected those moments because she understood they belonged to Judy, not to public consumption. Her friendship offered Judy something Hollywood never did: the right to be imperfect in private. Today, when we discuss Judy Garland's life, we often focus on her relationship with studios, with audiences, with the men she married. But perhaps the most meaningful relationship was this quiet friendship with someone who asked nothing in return for her loyalty and care. Kay Thompson represented what the entertainment industry rarely provides: genuine human connection untainted by transaction or exploitation. That such friendship was possible, even in Hollywood's darkest era, offers a small measure of hope within a tragic story.